Kingdom OutKasts Podcast is a platform for us to simply express our thoughts, opinions, and experiences concerning our faith and events around the world. We're here for your entertainment, encouragement, and edification of the body. We're humans like yourself and are not the final authority of views expressed. Only the Most High Yah is. Feel free to agree, disagree, edify, question, and comment however you're led to in the comments. We are many members of one body under Messiah and look forward to communing as a family with mutual respect. Shalom and enjoy the pod. Kingdom OutKasts.
Welcome to the Kingdom OutKasts Podcast. We are your hosts. My name is Deja.
It's your boy Elijah.
It's Shop. How's it going?
This is episode 8.
Infinity 8. So appreciate you being here with us.
And tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, drop some comments throughout the podcast.
And share, please. Appreciate y'all with the support, with the comments we being outside of the podcast as well. We humbly appreciate the feedback. Constructive criticism, the good criticism, all that good stuff.
So how was everybody's week?
My week was good. I worked for a couple of days and then I went overseas to Texas. I went to Texas first, got to spend some time with my brother and my cousin and got to eat some barbecue. Oh, I tell you, the barbecue is so good. I actually kind of miss it right now. Like beef brisket.
Yeah, beef brisket.
The mac and cheese was lacking a little bit, but the brisket made up for it. I know it's sad.
We won't tell you.
It's sad.
We won't tell you you said that.
Yeah, no. I won't release the name of the location. But yeah, I was in Dallas, and then I went to St. Louis and celebrated my grandma's 80th birthday, which was very fun. Got to see my family, got to kick it with them, and just have a good time, play some cards. I probably played the longest game of Uno I've ever played. Just kept going. Probably like a 30-minute game of Uno, which is like uncalled for. And my team, we won in spades, of course. Overall,
Look at the confidence you said that with.
oh, I'm nice. Okay, I'm nice. They're just friends, no?
Yeah. They got to see
Yes.
how nice you are.
But that's beside the point. My week was blessed, and I'm glad to be back here in Atlanta and ready to get back to the grind.
Is it cooler up wherever you just came from?
It was probably about the same temperature, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be like mad hot in Dallas, but I think I want to go back to Dallas. Like everything really is bigger there. I just say this from a driving perspective. Like the highways were just so spread open, so wide open. It was just it's insane. Then they had these lanes where it's like you got the highway and then you got a lane over here. A service road, yeah, whatever. Yeah. And it's just you can go mad fast on there. So it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. I definitely need to make a trip. I plan to.
Definitely saw you enjoyed yourself in your Instagram story.
Huh?
I just definitely saw you was enjoying yourself in your Instagram story.
I tried. Gotta keep people updated via the Instagram.
Yeah. I'm glad you said your reason for going, because I genuinely thought you were at a funeral.
Oh no.
It was like you and your family members all in black, so I was like,
oh yeah.
I never did ask, if everything's well.
Oh yeah, no. I would I'll let you guys know, but we decided to do a family photo shoot.
Okay.
And my sister decided to go with all black.
All black.
It's like a Victorian type of vibe, so.
Excellent.
Yeah. How was your guys' week? Enough about me.
My week was good. I had a friend come visit from out of town. We had a family party. It wasn't necessarily for Memorial Day, but it was Memorial Weekend.
Yeah, it was kind of suspicious.
Not it was
Not a holy day.
Yeah, it was just a little get together in the backyard party. I decided in my mind that I'm gonna go back to running. I haven't done it yet, but it's decided in my mind, so it's gonna happen in real life.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I've had a good week. Of course, I went to work. I started a new project. I'm hoping to build a financial model that is dynamic, and if you put in different scenarios and assumptions, it changes the outcome of the model, and it creates a forecast out 3 years. So that is going to be a challenge.
Making waves in the industry.
Yeah.
Making waves in the industry, yes. I'm a little intimidated by the task, if I'm honest. I've been super diligent with my morning prayers, so I've been trying to get up and spend an hour in prayer and an hour to 2.5 in reading, and I finished the book of John this week.
Wow.
Which was a good read. And it's like never gets old. It's like one of those things you could just read over and over, and there's something different that stands out.
Yeah.
So it's been a very fruitful last few weeks for me.
It's good. Nice, man. Yeah, I'm gonna start with last weekend. Enjoyed Deja's folks and the event they threw. She got good people's, good friends. Y'all watching.
Yes.
Y'all cool people,
Thanks
man.
for coming out, you guys. My podcast host came and supported. It was great.
It was a great time. It was. Food was great. Vibes were great.
Yeah, definitely had some good
Like
food.
the mac and cheese?
I did like the mac and cheese. It was better than what I had this week.
Yeah.
The chicken was fire.
I was mad I didn't take more food, to be honest, from that event, to be real. But, it is what it is. But, yeah, man, the food was great. Glad they had some alternatives to chicken. 'Cause I can't have chicken. But allergic, you guys, blood type thing. But yeah, that was a great start, or start to this, I guess we just had, right? But yeah, man, I've been, super busy, a lot of clients getting up early, late nights. But, I'm managing, and it's a blessing, be able to pay the bills and save and do whatever I got to do. Yesterday was great. With Boom, we went to first Savannah to First African Baptist Church, one of the first churches ever built by our ancestors for their own use. I think the tour guide, she also said it was one of the first churches where blacks and whites worship together. It was also used to funnel slaves. I'm gonna put some photos up here while I'm talking about this. It was also used to funnel slaves up to the north with the Underground Railroad, holes in the floor, pews made out of gopher wood, same wood as the Ark of the Covenant, and the Ark was made, as well as there's Hebrew writing, cursive Hebrew writing on the old pews up top. That proves the slaves knew Hebrew and was Hebrews, right? And it was just a good tour overall, man. Tour guide she was a little rough, but cool, you know what I'm saying?
Super entertaining. Super entertaining.
Yeah. One of them strong grandmothers that'll tear you up she'll whoop anybody's kids. You already know the kind I'm talking about. But yeah, it was a good time. Went to the beach. Great little day, trip with some of the fellow brews. I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah, and it's kind of like anthropology, because we research, we talk about being the people so much, but to be able to put your eyes and hands on tangible evidence of that is mad dope.
Now, especially if we're talking about going to Savannah. Yeah. Not that we're all from Atlanta or anything, but we're here. We live in Georgia. Are you?
I'm Georgia born and raised. I lived in Florida for 5 years. Parents are New Yorkers.
Okay.
Bronx and Brooklyn.
I won't question it.
Yeah.
No, what? I don't seem like
north side?
I ain't country enough, shawty, cause you know what I'm saying? I'm saying pond
I will
enough.
not question it. Okay, you're from Atlanta. I'm not from Atlanta, but to think that we are just right so close to a place like Savannah, but it's so many slaves came through there.
That was a major
and
port,
this
right?
huge major port, and I know a couple people I went to school with that are from there, and I don't know. I mean, I just thought it was a great, awesome experience, and I hope that they preserve that piece of history that's there.
Is this a place with the African First Baptist Church and the other things that you guys went to go see? Is this somewhere where you could go on your own, or is it you need to have a guided tour?
I think they have guided tours. I don't even know if it's open for service.
They do hold services.
Do they?
Yeah, they have Sunday service. But people who want to come and visit, they do the whole tour. The only place they don't show you is underneath the church where they used to hide slaves, because it would just be a lot. I guess it's like trap doors and maybe mechanisms they have to do. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Someone would get stuck under there, and that would be a whole nother nightmare.
I mean, I guess. She said it is probably clean under there, but it was one of the most interesting things. She explained how the holes in the floor, they were an African symbol used for prayer and the symbolism behind it, but they were used to allow the slaves to breathe under the the church.
Right.
But nobody would question her, no like whites or anybody, because they knew it was African symbol for prayer. But they also used it so they could breathe underneath. I think she's like 26 or 28 of them in there. So it was just a lot, man. It was dope.
Yeah.
The quilt, the quilt that was made to symbols.
Yes, and she explained what the symbols meant for the quilt.
Yeah, where it gave slaves messages on how to get up north, you know. I'll put like the picture, explanation picture up here too, but yes, it was great.
And I resonated with the quilt because I have a great aunt who makes family quilts.
Yeah.
So like that was always her thing, and people would spend lots of money to make these. I didn't exactly understand what it was, but it would be a special thing where it would be like represent their family tree, and she would use different patterns in order to keep the history alive through these quilts. So I know that that's a thing in the Black community. I never knew exactly why.
Yo, Pete, we got the same exact thing in my family.
Really?
Yep, same exact thing.
Yes, that's what it looks like.
And there's Brandon,
you're on there?
Baron, Deja, Mila. Oh, yeah, no, yeah, so like, yeah, that's like the family.
Yes, that's
We wrote our
what
names
my
in
aunt
there.
makes.
That's probably something really passed down from, you know, who knows, maybe our family's connected to the Underground Railroad. We don't even know it.
Probably. Yeah, so.
I know my dad's side of the family wasn't in slavery, but my mom's side most likely was. So there may have during the segregation times or sharecropping and all that. I think they started getting here, but just educational.
That's really cool. I'm glad you guys got to experience that, and I want to go.
We missed you,
I
Greg.
want to go.
Yeah,
I was
all good.
I was kind of like, I was like, dang, because it was on the documentary, Reclaiming the Throne.
Reclaiming the Throne, yeah.
On the documentary, so it's like, man, this is gonna be really, really, I don't want to say entertaining, educational.
Yeah.
And like, you know, you just get to experience like your roots, because I mean, I'm like, that was a major slave port, so it's like,
And like,
just get to.
one of the guys, she was talking about some of the ways that they would separate Black people based on colorism and hair texture and like body shape for women. Yeah, I genuinely was like, I think I would have failed all these tests. Like she was talking about like there's a paper bag test.
Yeah.
The brown paper bag, yeah.
The brown paper bag, like if you're darker than the bag or you're lighter, depends on where you sit. And then like if you put the pencil in your hair and it sticks or it falls.
Oh my
and then there's
God.
something about a book to basically insinuate if your butt is like big versus small.
Further the book, if it goes out, stick out further.
Than this particular book.
You gotta.
I was like, I
Wow.
would literally most likely fail like all three of the tests, and that's just like astounding to me because I consider myself to be absolutely gorgeous. So like, why I would be in the very back of the church based on these tests. Basically.
Hey, the funny thing is though, I know that preacher was definitely keeping special note of the ones who failed the book test. Oh yeah, you up, man? It's man, Family Guy had a whole little teasing thing about the paper, the color. I'm like,
just insinuating that like if you're thin and light with like less coarse hair, you're more beautiful, and if you're darker with more coarse hair and less thin, then you're not.
It's like it's based on those the Eurocentric standards of beauty.
Yeah.
You know.
So that one almost brought me to tears.
Look, let me tell you, man, with how younger generations be developed now, it's either the food or a lot more of these families than got Black answers that they don't know about these days. Because shoot, you have some white folk who fail today.
Yeah, they do out here. People
thick.
Right?
White girls are involved.
Gosh, I'm gonna cancel my Crunch Gym membership one of these days.
So what is in the food?
Yeah, right. But
and in your jeans.
Yeah, but back to holiness. Yes.
So the precept for the week is coming from Ezekiel.
Yes, let's get into it. Ezekiel 37. Open up your Bibles, whichever type you read. I'm reading from the Amplified version. I just love this version because they got these parentheses and just go in deeper. But I'm gonna read verses 1 probably through 14. Yep. The vision of the valley of dry bones. The hand of the Lord was upon me, and he brought me out of the spirit of the Lord and set me down in the middle of the valley, and it was full of bones. He caused me to pass all around them, and behold, there were very many human bones in the open valley, and lo, they were very dry. And he said to me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I answered, O Lord God, you know. Again, he said to me, prophesy to these bones and say to them, O dry bones, hear the word of the Lord. Thus says the Lord God to these bones, behold, I will make breath into you so that you may come to life. I'll put sinews on you, make flesh grow back on you, cover you with skin, and I'll put breath in you so that you may come alive, and you will know that I am the Lord. So I prophesied as I was commanded. And as I prophesied, there was a thundering noise, and behold, a rattling, and the bones came together, and bone to its bone. And I looked, and behold, there were sinews on the bones, and flesh grew, and skin covered them, but there was no breath in them. Then he said to me, prophesy to the breath, Son of man, and say to the breath, thus says the Lord God, come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe on these slain, that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they came to life, and stood up on their feet, an exceedingly great army. Then he said to me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, our bones are dried up, and our hope is lost. We are completely cut off. Therefore prophesy and say to them, thus say the Lord God, behold, I will open your graves and make you come up out of your graves, my people, and I will bring you back home to the land of Israel. Then you will know with confidence that I am the Lord, when I have opened your graves and made you come out of your graves, my people. I'll put my spirit in you, and you will come to life, and I will place you in your own land. Then you will know that I, the Lord, have spoken and fulfilled it, says the Lord. Ezekiel 37, verses 1 through 14. Prophecy of the dry bones. The vision of the valley of the dry bones.
Ooh.
So, that was a lot, but, what do you guys think about that and that precept?
The first thing that comes to mind is the things that the Most High knows are always so much beyond what we know as humans, as mortal beings. We have divinity, but as mortal beings.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when the Most High comes to you and says, prophesy over these things, and you're looking at it and you're like, but there's nothing here.
Mm-hmm.
What could I even prophesy over this?
Mm-hmm.
And so he had to literally use blind faith, like, okay, I don't understand this. I don't see how this could come to life, but I'm going to prophesy over these dry bones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just amazing. I think, like, the depiction of the waking up and the rattling of the dry bones is what keeps us going.
Mm-hmm.
It's what keeps us wanting to keep on speaking about these things and wants us to encourage people toward the Gospels and living in the truth and the knowledge of who they are. We can never get tired of sharing this news because there's continually more dry bones that need to be woken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the visual of a valley first off, and then all these dry bones, and kind of like, as you were saying, it's there's always more people that we can reach with the message of the kingdom of the Most High, and as the sinews and our flesh start to come together, and the Most High is breathing His breath into us. It's like, well, there's some dry bones back there, that need to be filled with the Ruach, but also understand this prophecy is for the house of Israel, which now includes everyone that is a believer in the Messiah.
Ezekiel chapter what?
It's 37.
Oh, 37.
37.
I also want to say that the waking up of the dry bones comes in phases.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just go from wake up dry bones and the whole thing is ready for breath. It's like there's the bones come together and there's flesh and there's the spirit and then there's the waking up
Process.
So it's a process.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That was written in 585 BC. Prophecy of the dry bones. You have something? Yeah, so first thing that comes to mind is we're living in the South. This was prophesied in 585 BC, and we are literally living in the time of the fulfillment of that prophecy. We're seeing a lot of us waking up and realizing our true identity as, the bruise on my bad. So it's like, literally the trip we went on yesterday, that's literally a landmark that assists in that prophecy. You know what I mean? The people going there and BBC had tangible evidence of our ancestors writing in cursive Hebrew. A lot of the symbolism behind it is literally evidence of, wait a minute, we could be these people the Lord has created these religions out of. And so that prophecy brings me back to when I looked up my last name, Mishak, for the first time, and that I start to slowly wake up, into the truth. It brings me back to the conversation with other brothers of when they, hey, when you come into the truth, you know what I mean? I love getting asked that and hearing that, that same line over and over and over and over again.
Never gets old.
It never gets old. Hey, when you come into the truth? How'd you come into the truth? Well, a cough for a lady.
I've never been called that.
Yeah. I guess, yes.
It's coming.
So yeah, man. Man. That's really all I really got for that is we're living in that prophecy and we're seeing it happen. It's gonna happen in phases. Mm-hmm. I'm reading in the Book of Nations, Testament of Asher. One of the ancestors, Asherite ancestors, Sigtrigger, he was prophesying through Sarah, who is the adopted daughter of Asher in the Old Testament. It was saying she was prophesying the order of which tribe would wake up, kind of first. Asher was listed as one of the first, but I definitely know that Judah is like supposed to be one of the last, since the majority of them went into captivity kind of last, A lot of people claim Judah. I believe a lot more of us are Ephraim or Northern Kingdom than we realize. Me and evidence of that. But yeah, that's and obviously the waking up the dry bones is also going to be a message to the Gentiles as well. It's going to be a revamping or going deeper into this faith that everybody kind of think that they have. Mm-hmm. So it's good for Yashrael and the world at large, or the kingdom. That's the ones that are waking up and not have yet, right? Mm-hmm. Israelite or Gentile. So I guess at least my precept, right? The word, right?
Yeah, the Hebrew word for spirit.
Yep. So Ruach. Some people say Ruach, some people say wind. Strong's Hebrew 7307, Ruach, R-U-A-C-H. It means breath, wind, spirit. NASB translation, air, anger, blast, breath, breathless, cool, courage, despondency, exposed, grief, heart, inspired, mind, motives, points, quick-tempered, side, spirits, strength, temper, thoughts, trustworthy wind, windy, wrath. So it has a couple of different meanings there. I have another one, 7308, Ruach. Basically same exact thing, and that's Strong's concordance, and then Strong's Greek and Hebrew concordance. You have Ruach, R-U-W-A-C-H, 7307. Pretty much a lot of the same definitions, but also sensible exhalation, by resemblance, spirit, a region of the sky, but by resemblance, spirit, but only of rational being, including expression and functions. Quarter, courage, mind, tempest, vain. Then 7308, Ruach again, anger, unsustainability, expression. So it has a lot of different meanings. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is a super important word in our faith, because outside of the Messiah, I would say it's one of the most common used phrases.
Yeah, for like Ruach HaKodesh.
Yeah, we talk about the Ruach all the time.
I love saying that term, by the way. It
Yeah.
sounds so.
It just flows.
Ruach HaKodesh. Sounds serious, man.
Yeah, I'm afraid of it. Yeah, I think it's an important one to know. Add to your library of Hebrew terms when you hear them speaking about the Ruach. Think of the Holy Spirit. You know, this is what we're talking about.
What comes to mind with you?
Man, as you were reading out those definitions of the Ruach, my mind went first to the day of Pentecost when,
Or Shavuot, right? Shavuot. Hebrews know it as Shavuot.
Yeah.
Christians know it as Pentecost.
Right. But the day that the disciples, the apostles, they were filled with the Holy Spirit, and I just remember the rushing wind. So that first definition that you gave of wind, I was thinking about that and how strong that wind was.
Mm-hmm.
And then you gave the definition of sensible, and then it just took me back to when the Messiah was telling his disciples, listen, if I don't go, you're not going to be able to get this blessing of the Ruach, and I had to do this, and I'm going to send a comforter to you, and I think after that it's you got, I don't even know what you said, the day of Pentecost, Shavuot.
Mm-hmm. Shavuot.
Shavuot.
Mm-hmm.
But they thought that Peter and the other disciples were drunk,
Mm-hmm.
but they were literally speaking in everyone else's language, and from there you see people being filled with the Holy Spirit and being able to just evangelize about the kingdom of the Most High and about the Messiah. And it's you can tell when someone's filled with the Holy Spirit because they're more sensible.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They exhibit the fruits of the Spirit.
You get a little chill sometimes when they speak. You can feel that sixth sense kind of wells up in you a little bit. I'm getting the revelation, not just with the words coming out their mouth.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's a coming and going kind of thing. I know that recently I may have been listening, and then I feel as though what the person is saying is kind of coming in and out of the spirit. Now I think you're just speaking out of the flesh, and you're just trying to get this message across. You're necessarily not really in the spirit when you're saying these things. You can feel it, I think, as you grow in your walk. And that's actually, I think that's going to go into what our topic is this week, but I want to jump ahead.
Yes, because you was finna skip me. Nah, I'm joking.
Never skip you, Brandon.
Skip. The word meditate is mentioned 33 times in the Bible, including Apocrypha. 33 times, 33 vertebrae. Messiah died at the age of 33. And why the word meditate sticks out to me. And Freemasons like to pervert 33. But the way the word meditate comes to me when I think of the Ruach is because when I started meditating back in 2017 with my prayer. I pray, usually I read, then I pray, and then I go into meditation. And meditation means to mutter, to ponder, And when you're meditating, you're focusing on your breath. You're creating wind, and it calms your spirit. This is also why they tell you as a kid, breathe when you're feeling anxious or upset. I always have to tell clients to breathe. I'll basically be saying ruach, which includes creating breath and calms your spirit. And so when I meditate, those are my most intimate times with the Most High because I'm now listening. Sometimes I'm chanting a verse or what the world likes to call mantras, but we know our scripture has actual power. You know what I mean? Because it's connected to the Most High, and we're plugging into something greater than us when we're focusing on the Ruach, the Spirit. And so it's just a powerful word to me because it just means so much as far as the sensible, the controlling yourself, being poised, you know what I mean? It has so much, mind, is one of the meanings of Ruach, you know what I mean? That, just from sitting and breathing, you tap into almost all of those, words. You're calming your wrath. We saw that was some of the definitions. You're calming your anger. Or when the Ruach comes like a wind and it's, doing something disastrous, that's exemplifying wrath. So it even has two almost polar opposite definitions, in it. Sensible and wrath. It's a powerful word. And they thank the Most High for the Ruach HaKodesh and the ability to tap into Him deeper in meditation and breathing. Focusing on spirit. He breathed Ruach into Adam, and that's where the dry bones verse gets that, from as well, right?
Yeah.
So we need it for life. So it's our life, literally.
Yeah, lifeline.
Yeah.
Literally.
Oxygen.
CO. No.
Yeah.
CO2.
Yeah.
Boy, you don't know your atoms.
You're right.
You're at the table.
Oh man, guess science was your subject.
No, it really wasn't. What subject was mine? It doesn't matter. That was a good Huey turn.
Yeah.
I like that. And get a deep understanding of Ruach. Let's get into the current events.
So we have some celebrities to talk about today.
Oh
man, and look, y'all, we don't actually care about celebrities, but they're topics that you guys plug into and that the world does.
Just current things going on.
Yeah, we got to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Just our perspective on them. On what's going on.
So I saw a clip of Damson Idris. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Damson Idris.
Snowfall,
if y'all know.
Yes, the actor Snowfall.
Black Mirror. Okay.
Recently dated Lori Harvey. Recent Lori Harvey.
Well, go on, destroy yourself if you want.
He did an interview, and he was speaking about how he had to prepare for his character in Snowfall and get into that mindset of like an evil savage or someone who's like heartless and like whatever's necessary. I don't watch drug dealing shows because I think they're like horrendous to the black community, but I know the context of the show. So in the interview, he made a comment that he quite literally went into a corner and summoned the devil in order for him to get into character. And after that, he felt the continual, effects of that, like in the form of terrible nightmares, and he was being disturbed spiritually. What do we think about this?
Yeah, I watched a video and he was like, literally, devil, come on, devil, come into me. And look, hey, you acted your tail off, but being possessed ain't worth it. you know what, my guy? It ain't. I personally watched Snowfall. I enjoyed it. My favorite episode is when his boy and his lady went to Africa and realized Africa was the place they need to be. I was like, please stay there. Don't go back to the hood. Don't come back. Don't come back. Never look back. And I feel like it was purposely putting some subliminals with the time that we're in. The fact that so many people are moving in droves to Africa.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. But you play with the devil, man, he gonna come to collect. You see your actor friends. I'm talking directly to you, Damson, man. Brother to brother. My Nigerian brother, right? You see your actor friends dropping like flies out here, bro. Stop playing like you don't know what's going on in Hollywood. Maybe he was put up to saying this or doing that because they have to tell you the truth a little bit or what's going on. But it's just like,
he was put up to that. I mean, I really think he was trying to give like a little like secret, like this is how I get in that mode because I'm not like his actual personality, even his accent, everything about it is so different from his character. So it was like, to be honest, I have to do an extreme, like something extreme has to go on for me to get into that mode.
Yeah, I hear that. I think it could be that too. I was only saying it because you kind of see so many actors like talk about this stuff. Like, Beyonce and her Sasha Fierce, character, Nicki Minaj, her Roman. They often tell you, hey, I'm possessed, without saying it. But that could have been just, a thing, right? But hey, a lot of times when you see certain things come from actors, or when they're about to break that glass ceiling, they say something that has to do with craziness and some demonic stuff. Pray you're not into that, bro. Hope I'm wrong about that.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of Snowfall. I've seen a couple episodes, and I just don't like the drug dealing shows that depict black people in just not in the best light. Why can't we get some?
There's just so many of them.
Yeah, there's just so many. Like, can we get some black engineers? Or like
no
black
other,
lawyers, or
there's no other theme.
No, and that's by the higher ups, the people behind the camera. But as I had not even known about this before we started shooting, and I just read, that he had nightmares for months. And my thoughts and prayers go out to you, bro, because when you mess around with like you said, Brandon, when you mess around with Satan's devices, you are going to reap what you sow. And I think it's just so much of Hollywood, I feel like, is into it, and I feel like, I don't want to say it's necessary. It comes like I feel like it just comes with the territory of Hollywood. You get eventually you're going to get invited to some sort of party, and you're going to have to do X, Y, and Z. And really it's
don't drop the soap, man.
Don't drop the soap, but you're being videotaped because they want to have something over you. Yeah. Which is
even in gospel industry, by the way.
Yeah, which is part of it's part of witchcraft. They have to use either like intimidation or like coercion, or they just it's a scare tactic. But all that is all in Hollywood, and it doesn't. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised by this, and I know like there's many other actors. Like acting it's a form of art that, just like music and how y'all mentioned Beyonce and Nicki Minaj, like I'm sure that there's high level actors, probably like Tom Cruise, maybe even like and these I haven't studied this enough to say other names, but like probably all the big actors that get major roles. Like you have to think about the art form of acting. Like you're channeling something to be able to act on screen as a character.
Yes.
You're channeling something. You know what I mean? And that maybe that's some sort of demonic possession, that comes through you to be able to act so well. But
you have to like fling yourself into these different state of minds and like allow your emotions to like sway like quickly from this to that, to happy to excited to crying. So that's why you get like the Amanda Bynes and those
or like
actors.
Heath Ledger, like he was a good example. Like as he was getting deeper and deeper into his Joker role, like he couldn't separate from the role. And
what ended up happening to him?
He committed suicide.
Yeah,
and that's the manifestation of a demon. Just like.
And we're not coming down on acting per se. Like me, I'm actually a pretty naturally good actor. I was in a good amount of plays growing up. But you have to find a way to tap in what you got to tap into without losing yourself. Maybe use your own personal life experiences. I don't know. I've been demon possessed before, so I know what it looks like. I was eyes rolling, foaming at the mouth almost, body shaking, voice growling, fighting, violent. You know what I mean? My dad literally tried to perform like a light exorcism for me, in a way. It's not like coming crazy, just hands on me in the Bible praying. I was having an episode, but you don't want to play with that, man, because it feels good. That's actually the real thing. It feels good to be possessed, at least to your flesh, because it feels like you're getting power. You're losing yourself, and your thoughts to something else is giving you something. So, like, man, I mean, I personally enjoyed the show. I don't really have much drama in my life, so so I gotta watch a little bit, spice it up a little bit.
That's how I feel about Housewives.
Yeah.
But the show ended very realistic. He ended up broke and disgusted, and just down bad. Okay. And so at least they told the truth of where this lifestyle leads.
That's good.
But yeah, man, you found out that stuff is real, and you had to call on somebody that you knew had a connection to the Most High, your mom, right? For me, it's kind of weak because it's like, get your own relationship with the Creator. Like, don't be in the world and choose to be in the world, but depend on other people that you know is actually living righteous, because you're not always that grace ain't always gonna, be there for you. You know what I mean?
I totally agree.
Especially if the Most High knows that you won't actually choose Him in the end. You know what I mean? You punch your ticket, too early. So, yeah, man, just look, my encouragement to you, Damson, man, get your own relationship with the Most High. Don't depend on other people to pray you out of bad situations. And, I mean, bro, you have some of your actor peers who talk about what they've experienced.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And you don't want to give yourself up for that, bro.
Yeah. I would say, like, cash out and get out. Like, you've had a few hits, I would just get out.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's not that simple, but
there's been a few who actually like got away from Hollywood, and they talked about, what was the girl on iCarly? She was her best friend.
Sam?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's one of them. She's one of them.
You used to watch that show.
Oh, I did. Yeah. I don't know the actual. Oh,
I'll admit.
Something Puckett. I don't know.
Huh?
Something Puckett, I think maybe. She used to date. She dated Andre Drummond.
We'll throw a photo of her up on the channel, but yeah, she's one of them. Like, I got out of this.
Yeah.
Because it was mad wild.
Their producer was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
The iCarly producer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There was
maybe, I think it's Schneider maybe or something.
Yeah. I think that name. Yeah, it sounds familiar.
It was really creepy.
Come across when you
There's a couple of scenes like from iCarly where Ariana Grande did some really said some crazy stuff and also did some weird stuff, and he was just known at Nickelodeon for being a creep.
Yeah, now we know, man. It's weird watching some of this stuff you grew up on. Now that we know a little more, like foot fetish stuff.
Yeah.
Too. Yeah, man. And he apparently has a foot fetish, which is why he put some of that stuff in there, using them. It's wild.
Yeah, it is wild.
So there was an interview also, another celebrity, Tyrese.
Yeah.
An interview with Big Boy. And so what was said in that interview related to Hollywood?
Do you know who Big Boy is?
No, I don't. Well, is that the dude that he did the interview? I mean, I watched the
video.
Yeah. Is he the bald guy?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know what he's popular for, but I've seen him.
Radio.
Oh, from radio. Okay, I've seen him do other interviews with celebrities.
I used to watch a lot of his music interviews or interviews with music artists when I was, listening to all the different rappers.
Yeah. I would say Damson watched Tyrese's interview on exposing what's going on, because basically, like, I liked how he basically, he just stated what was going on in Hollywood, like how they're being so overly blatant with the occult symbols, with the satanic symbols, with the messages aren't even subliminal anymore. As you think about commercials, as you think about like the award shows, like everything's just they're just putting it out there. The Luciferians are just putting it out there, and Tyrese is like, he's just tired of it, and he wants more people to be like talking about Jesus, and standing on God's word, and like in the industry, he was saying, I'm probably not doing it justice. It's a really good, like it took a minute for them to get into like a deeper conversation on spiritual matters, but I think it was like maybe 24 minutes. It was a good video, and then like towards the tail end, like Tyrese really started like I felt like the Holy Spirit was speaking through him, honestly.
Yeah, he was like the most important. He said the most important thing he feel like everybody need in the world. The purpose is to figure out God. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like figure Him out.
Mm-hmm.
My bad. I just want to try it.
No, I was done.
That was courageous of him to be willing to say anything, really, because I think someone like Tyrese, who's like someone who could be a C-list celebrity, like I don't think he's not out there like that anymore as far as like getting a lot of work and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it would be courageous of him to even want to speak on these matters, because that could stop him from potential money that's made in the future.
They tried to change the subject mad fast.
Mm-hmm.
Like Big Boy was like, so yeah, man, I want to bring it back to the movies, and Tyrese was like, he really
I need to say this. This needs to be said. Also, there was actually some really sad.
He prayed. He ended the whatchamacallit prayer. He put hands on people in there. Ended off with prayer. Like, I think he went through such mental stuff in front of the world with the crying and the stuff. And, he looked to people insane. You know, he was probably dealing with demons. But it's like he was probably broken so much down into his humility, with the Most High was probably doing that it's like, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go against this whole thing, and you know, granted, we know what the false Messiah versus the real Messiah is, but at least I feel like that's a planted seed.
Yeah.
You know, there for people to open their eyes. Let it breathe. So yeah, what's up, Deja?
So also sad news this week. DC Young Fly's mother of his child passed away from complications of surgery, cosmetic surgery complications. She had 3 young children that she left behind, and I think
his wife. Are they married?
I don't think they were married. So I've seen the articles just describing her.
We gotta confirm that. Yeah.
His partner.
It says long. I see articles that say long time partner.
Oh yeah, I see long time partner. That's what TMZ says.
And so I think that this is absolutely a tragedy.
Yeah, they're never married.
I can't imagine how he will even get back into comedy after you experience something like this. It's just like nothing. You don't want to tell jokes to the world anymore. Things just get really serious.
Yeah,
I've seen memes float around like we probably never get the same DC Young Fly again. Granted, it's kind of selfish, to say that, but I mean, people are talking like
us to entertain us.
Yeah, people are talking like fans,
Yeah.
I think it's really terrible that this is the way that she passed away. That a perfectly healthy, from my understanding, a healthy individual would continue to put themselves under in order to get these cosmetic things done. We have to take a look at like the self-identity crisis that's happening in women, where they're willing to risk their life. Because anytime you put yourself under anesthesia, you are risking your life.
Yeah.
And so why are we willing to risk our lives for what our body looks like? Especially after she just had the child is like not even 6 months old. There was no time to even recover or snap back, maybe work out something, whatever. You just like went straight to like surgery.
It's crazy to talk about the book test too, and like this is
the way
and this is where we're at. You know what I mean? You go, Elijah.
Rest in peace. What was her name, Jackie?
Yeah.
I praise you the Most High.
Yeah, and I think it is. I agree with you, Deja. I think it's unfortunate that she died under these circumstances. Trying to alter her body to fit a narrative, and I never seen her before, but I'm sure that her body was okay. I would have probably shot, if she wasn't with DC. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, she just looks good. She already looks good.
It sure looked good, but it is really sad that the culture. I guess you can call it the materialistic culture, the over sexualized culture that we live in, pushes so many young women towards having to alter their bodies and risk death. Just know that you are beautiful. How the Most High created you. You don't have to go out here and get a surgery. You can just work out. And I get that like when you have kids, things started looking out of place, but thank Eve.
And I question things because it's like a lot of women do get these cosmetic surgeries and getting things done to their stomach and to their thighs and their like butt and everything. It's I guess to look more sexy, but at the same time, like if you have a newborn child, what do you need to look so sexy for? I would think that you would be mostly tending to your 3 children more than you would be showing off your body in general. So why put the time and effort and the money into getting?
It's like keeping her man, but like
I don't know if it would even be
And let me hit it like this too. In DC, you're a fellow brew. You're part of the dry bones waking up. So I hope and pray that revelation you've had that rubbed off on her, and everything, and she knew the Most High above all. When these topics come up, they're very sensitive for people because, it's a whole culture for stuff like this to happen. Like in certain Latino cultures, it's like a rite of passage almost. When you hit a certain age to get certain work done, right? But it's like, we understand the freedom of choice and people can do what they want with their body, but we got to also understand the mental conditioning of what media has done over the years. You could be making the choice that you would never make if you weren't subconsciously this stuff hitting your subconscious in media. Yeah, maybe you woke up one day, okay, I want to do this for myself. I'm not doing it for no man, woo. But you got to think, some things are so subconsciously placed in your mind over time that you don't realize your thoughts isn't your own thoughts and your decisions aren't your own decisions. And so, it's like, again, it's like we just talked about the book test and where we're at. Like, I just feel like there has to be a certain kind of like love for how the Most High made us, whether we snap back all the way or don't. Do what we can when it comes to health, to working out and exercise. I'm a coach. My clients will know how hard I come down. Don't talk to me about no surgery. You know what I mean? We want to use your transformation, before and after we did. I mean, look, I got braces. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't my choice. Personally, I tell my mom today, I wouldn't have braces if it was my choice. I would have got my tooth filling cracked. You know what I'm saying? But, that's a health risk. You know what I mean? Nerve exposure, So, like, I only really look at these things as important to do if there's some type of health issue, that you could be having. There's just a depth to becoming one with the Creator of all and understanding His love for us and how He made us, that so many people will never experience because they can't get past this astronaut suit we have on.
And attention. I think it's an attention-seeking issue, because most women, after you give birth and your child is like 6, 7, 8 months old, if you have on jeans and you are dressed conservatively, you probably look somewhat like you looked before you had this baby. You're not just unrecognizable. So if you need to go under the knife in order to correct the way your body changed from birth, it's because you're trying to show attention seeking. Like, you're trying to show your body off, not just, I'm just completely unrecognizable. I just can't stand to look like this.
I do think it's an insecurity thing too. Sometimes it is just insecurity. Look, I'm 5'5.5", all right, with a 6'6" personality, by the way. But I used to be insecure about my height. You know what I mean? Women want the top 8 to 50. It's like only maybe 15% of men or 8% or something like that that's over 6 foot. And I used to be insecure, about my height. Over time, I got confident. Oh, tall, 6 foot girl, slide into DMs. I'm out here. You know what I mean? But no, like around junior of high school, I became, confident in myself. I had me a lady and things like that. And a lot of these girls who be talking junk on social media about short guys, they will be the same ones that slide in your DMs. But it's so. And I've seen a guy, he got leg elongating surgery.
Oh, wow.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what health complications could that pose for you in the future on your joints? So, like,
he's going to be able to walk when he's like 70.
So, I mean, it's like, yo, like, I found out real quick that it's a confidence in the way you carry yourself that will have even a lot of women come down with their preference, you know what I mean, and how you look. So you got to understand, even as a woman, sometimes not even how you look, it's how you carry yourself. The right man, will have a spirit. And hey, DC and his lady, they could have had the right relationship. I don't know what kind of conversations they had. what the dynamic was. But a lot of stuff, we're not talking specifically about her, just the whole BBL and all that stuff, culture in general. When this story dropped, it's like Hollywood did a whole PR move and had SZA drop a BET interview about her positive relationship with her BBL. Like, so y'all are trying to change the narrative now?
Trust me, still go get this done.
Wow.
And I love SZA and how she looked natural before. But it's very apparent she did face work. She did body work.
Wow.
She was like the low-key, naturally good, big hair, like bruh. But she's in that industry,
Comes with the territory.
It's the Baphometism. That's what it is. Whether you got people trying to change gender, whether you got people trying to change whatever about themselves, it's the whole we can be whatever we want to be, kind of do what thou wilt thing, So man, that's why Ruach is a great word for today. Our spirit is more important than our physical.
Yeah.
Man, much love and prayers to that family, man. And I really hope she, knew the Messiah. So, anything else, y'all, on that?
Don't do it, ladies. Just do not do it.
There's somebody gonna be out there who really, 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 really. I honestly think they probably loved each other for real. I would assume they had a great relationship.
Yeah, I don't think this had anything to do with him. I just think if
people have
pressure,
assumptions.
internet
I'm just
pressure,
speaking to those assumptions.
You really trying to get quick to get back out there and show off on Instagram, and you can't do that with stretch marks.
Yeah, I guess, man. So
yeah,
but but yeah, I just pray this wasn't some deeper demonic Hollywood stuff. I've seen Larry Johnson post some
Larry
demonic
said that,
stuff.
but to Larry, no one can just pass away. To Larry, you cannot just literally leave this earth. So
I pray it's not that, because
I don't.
We know what goes on.
I don't think it's that.
I don't know.
I don't think he wasn't treating them right. I don't think it was that. I think
I'm gonna just
her followers. I blame her followers. All her followers out there. That's y'all fault. Y'all put that lady in the ground.
I feel for her kids.
Yeah,
For her kids in DC.
Mm-hmm.
Very unfortunate.
Yeah, man. But
let's get to the topic of the week.
Okay, so the topic of the week this week is something that I'm dying to discuss, which is cult versus culture. And the reason I'm dying to discuss this is because for the last year and a half, I have been super geeked out on cult docs.
Okay.
And these are just documentaries that dive into the lives of people that are a part of these cults, such as the Latter-day Saints, the LDS cults.
Mm-hmm.
There was one on Netflix called Keep Quiet or Keep Pretty, Keep Quiet, whatever. And then there's cults, all type of documentaries about the life of a person who falls into a certain kind of cult. And they don't know how they even got there. Mm-hmm. There was one about the OSHA, is what they used to call him. And these are the people who their cult outnumbered the number of local citizens in their town, so they started taking over the government, and the citizens wanted them gone. And so I just want to talk about the difference between culture, living for the word, and a community of other people who are living for the word, and being sucked into a cult-like lifestyle, or being classified as being in a cult.
Mm-hmm.
You should start with the definition
of a cult.
Cult and culture. Merriam-Webster dictionary. Cult, noun. A religion regarded as unorthodox or spurious. Also, it's a body of adherents. Example, the voodoo cult, satanic cult. 2, a great devotion to a person, idea, object, movement, or work, such as a film or book. Especially such devotion regarded as literally or intellectually fad. The object of such devotion, usually a small group of people characterized by such devotion. 3, a system of religious beliefs and rituals, also a body of adherents. Formal religious or worship, a system for the cure of disease based on dogmas set forth by its promulgator. And then we have culture, Merriam-Webster Dictionary, the customary beliefs, social forms, and material traits of a racial, religious, or social group. Also, the characteristic features of everyday existence, such as diversions or a way of life shared by people in a place or time, set of shared attitudes, values, goals, and practices that characterize an institution or organization, the set of values, conventions, or social practices associated with a particular field, activity, or social characteristic, the integrated pattern of human knowledge, belief, behavior that depends upon capacity of learning, transmitting knowledge, succeeding generations. So yeah, there's a good amount of definitions here. So those are the two definitions, one of code and then culture.
Well, I just started watching the Duggar family newest cult doc, because I used to watch 19 Kids and Counting, which was on TLC, and it was about fundamentalist Christian family who was a part of this part of a greater church, and they were teaching fundamental life principles for Christian living.
Mm-hmm.
So this included ways to dress. This included homeschooling, not participating in TV and radio, no dancing. They liked for the young women there to pretty much grow their hair as long as it can grow, then cut their hair, and they only wear dresses. And they had, most importantly, as many kids as possible. So they say the more kids you have, the more blessed you are. So there is no such thing as birth control. If the Most High just blesses you with infinite children, you should have infinite children. So this particular family, had 19 kids. Naturally, between the two, like the mother and the father. And so now that everything has hit the fan.
Was a white or black family?
They were white.
Okay.
Now that,
Were they like Asian? Maybe Hawaiian? Was it that?
No, this whole family, they were all they were white from the middle.
I only ask because it's more common. That's more common in black communities, but okay, it's interesting. Okay, keep going.
So something has happened in the last couple of years where the oldest son has been incarcerated for child porn. And then it came out that he had been molesting his younger sisters, and his parents sent him away to a camp to recover from this sin in his life, this is something that he was doing, and they allowed him to come back into the family, but they never exposed that information as he grew up. They just let it be the past, and they felt like he was delivered from this. So then when this came out, people were like, we should dig further into this Duggar family. You guys had all these fundamentalist beliefs, but you literally raised a child predator. Mm-hmm. So where is the breakdown? So that's what I'm watching now. And it's just really interesting to me because there's all these people who really they followed the leader in this way, and they really wanted to apply these fundamental Christian principles to how they were raising their families, and they were doing the homeschooling, and they were using the word. So where did they go wrong? There's others like them. The Mormon church, there's the Amish. I feel like they're close to, they're trying to do things in the right way, but somewhere there's a breakdown, and they end up just being off in a strange land.
Kind of and some would say denominations aren't necessary. Those are denominations as well, but of course it's the opinion of a lot of people that they're cults. I actually got to really sit down and talk with two Mormons and question them on two separate occasions, the same two guys, on their belief. And, the first time I was real nice about it, hey, so, yeah, I'm just curious what you believe in. Okay, this and that, and okay, cool. The second time we met, I decided to bring a little bit of teeth with me. And so it was just okay, so why do you believe this when the scripture says this? Mm-hmm. Well, we just believe in... No. I don't want to hear we just believe. Yeah. We'll respond to this verse that says this is what the earth is like or whatever. The way that we're taught... That is called mind behavior. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, a lot of the Christian church really kind of operates that way, really stemming all the way back from the slavery and how they taught, people the gospel. Just blindly believe without doing your own research and studying. I think that's one of the great things about coming into the truth is that we really bank on that study yourself to show proof. Yeah. Get your own knowledge. Don't just... Right. And it is... So, but I'm going off somewhere else with that. But, Amish communities and stuff. You know, I wouldn't even say, honestly, you don't hear about unhealthy happenings in Amish communities like that. At least from what I've researched, they just choose to live as natural life as possible. Now, I actually agree with that way of living. I actually like their system a little bit. I just think it is a little bit extreme as far as the you have to wear this type of clothes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I get the humility aspect, but it's like they latch on one part of the word and go crazy on it.
Yeah.
But I do like the no technology and to live with nature and stuff. I feel like that's how we're supposed to be honest. Like John the Baptizer was, Yakanan. You know.
I don't want to be out there eating grasshoppers and honey.
I mean, locusts and honey is Torah.
Yeah, it's kosher, but what I think some of the signs, the telltale signs of a cult versus like culture, is going to be the behaviors of the leader, and then the rules that are set in place that are supposed to be across the board. This is everybody is supposed to agree with this. So, like in the Latter-day Saints, they had at the time they called the leader the prophet. One second.
You get a spanking?
Yes. She's being so terrible.
Okay, that's been my boy too.
Yeah.
No, my breath. Beat the dog. Okay. In the Latter-day Saints, they call their leader the prophet, and then when that leader dies, their son becomes the next prophet, and they choose
bloodline stuff.
They choose who everyone marries, and they have like this weird buddy system where all the men that follow them, they choose for them to have as many wives as possible, and whoever gives any like level of rebellion doesn't get granted a wife. So it's like things like that.
And the Book of Mormon speaks out against polygamy even more directly than the 66 books does. So it's crazy how they just go for that. But there's a whole chapter dedicated to the Most High was not pleased with David and Solomon.
Yeah. Like
it was broken down because it was talking about how the natives, the native Israelites who came to the Americas, you know, they started to use excuses of their ancestors, you know,
as to why
as why they want polygamy and stuff. But the prophet of the day explained, no, this was wicked. The Most High was not pleased with this. It's just in their canonization, you know.
Yeah. It's usually, to me, it lies in the leader, and if the leader is considered to be the one who hears from God, that usually creates a cult like thing. And if they create these rules that are not like necessarily, they created new rules like, well, we think it would be appropriate that all girls wear their hair braided in 2 braids and that let their hair grow as long as possible. Why? Like, and then the third thing is like, I can start to consider this to be cult-like behavior, and we can see this even in some of the camps when the physical appearance of everyone is so offset from what everyone else is wearing. Like, if not enough people have enough individuality to be like, why do we all have to wear camo? Or why do we all have to wear this? Like, do we have to all wear it? Can't. So if everyone is like brainwashed enough to think that we need to literally look the same and wear the same kind of attire, even if it's so strange and different from like everyone else that we know outside of this particular place, that's a sign of a cult. Yeah. And I've seen some where they consider themselves, they'll use the word Gentiles versus chosen people, but it literally means that everyone outside of this little camp that we have is a Gentile. And everyone that's here is a chosen people. So even if there's only 400 of us, the rest of millions of other people on earth, they're all Gentiles, and the 400 of us are not. Those are all the signs like of a group to me that's like, okay, this is cult-like behavior. Yeah,
I would agree. I think my biggest like red flag for a cult is like for being able to like point out what like where a cult is when the leader or some man throughout the history of this religious organization said something and it became basically the law. Like basically like, oh, this came from God's word, and we see it within Christianity. I think it reminds me of, you know, the Torah and the Talmud. You know, you got the oral tradition of the elders, and then you got the Torah, which is the Most High's basically commands. And, you know, they started to use excuses of their ancestors, you know, you see the divergence of type like cult-like behavior, where it's like we're the chosen people, and everyone else is not, and it usually stems from like a leader throughout the history of it, or just like a leader wanting to make a rule, and then it just like, oh no, it's like, Prophet so and so said this back in 1860, and this is the way that it's going to go, and I think like we see that a lot nowadays. The biggest example of a cult that I remember when I watched a documentary on it on Netflix is called The Family.
Mm-hmm.
And this supposedly Christian organization, it would take young men. Oh, and this is another thing about cults. You always see something weird happening in the flesh. Mm-hmm. There's always something weird, fleshy going on. Whatever it is, whether it's with children, whether it's with polygamy, whether it's with animals, whatever. Something really weird with the flesh is going on. Mm-hmm. But in the family, like, they basically, homosexuality, in the family, they had, basically they were grooming young men out of college to be a part of these groups. And they would be like, they would go off, like, and they basically, they had to be, they had that to abstain. And then there was like, they had the young men over here, and then they had the young women over here, and then they met up like one time for like this like dance type thing, and you weren't able to show like any sort of affection or really even have any communication on what was being taught within this group in the family. And all these young men would eventually go into their professions, but like the older guys, and like over time they would all get into politics, and it was basically the group would reconvene, once they were older, once they like had become established in politics, whether it was in the Senate and the House, or like at a state level, they would start to make decisions, and it would be just very culty. And then you would see like there was like, I think this happened like in the 2000s, where a senator from Nevada, he got caught with a prostitute, and he was a married man, of course, and then like a senator in New Jersey had done something really weird, but the cult had tried to cover it up, and of course they used the Bible as like the basis of their religion, and then they started to get the president involved in it. Like, so every year the president has this, it's called the National Day of Prayer, and it's a breakfast that they host, and basically, I think his name's like Daniel Cohn or something like that, who's the founder of the family. I forgot what the organization's called, but he's the founder of them, and basically they have all these, they bring people in to talk about the Bible, to talk about God, not Elohim, God, and you got people in the Islamic faith and Catholicism and Hindu and all these other faiths that are politicians around the world to make these decisions. And it kind of reminds me of the World Economic Forum, but it's more on a religious basis. But there's always something off with the flesh.
The religions are pawns themselves.
Yeah, something off with the flesh, with these cults that eventually comes to fruition, like with that family, like in the kid being in child porn, which is just sick, Like, it's always something really off. Like, I mean, even in Jonesboro, like they all had to drink the cyanide or whatever to die, and then they will go to heaven. It's like something's off.
The real like difference between the culture that the Most High gave to Israel and a lot of these cults out here, first of all, again, it is up to you to believe whether it was the Most High who gave this culture that he wanted to a chosen nation of people to teach the entire world, or if you just think our ancestors was out running around chasing, lights and stars. Some people actually know we're Israel and believe we're Israel, but don't believe our ancestors was in tune with the Most High. You know what I mean? I have a friend who's really like that. But it's the Ruach. It's the Ruach at the end of the day, the spirit, the fruit. You'll find stories in the Word where Israel would actually follow after cults, where they would sacrifice their babies to Moloch, or Baal and do stuff like that. That's cult-like behavior.
Canaanites.
The culture of the word was passed down from generation to generation, bloodline to bloodline, for peace, for economic flourishment, for fair treatment across the board. You know what I mean? Some people would, of course, look at, the stoning like behavior, might feel cultish. But, if our small human minds could put our mind in the mind of the Most High, or see it through His eyes, as a Elohim that can't have anything to do with sin and doesn't want His chosen nation to be a part of sin, some things are just so wicked, you gotta get rid of it before it taints the whole, the whole people. Like adultery, laying with somebody else's, wife. That was sexual, sinners look at as, that's a no-go. If you look at history and you believe the story of Adam and Eve, how I believe it, sexual sin being one of the first sins, how I interpret that story. You see why the Most High was so big on that. Some people might look at, of course, it's just the way Israel moved and how in some of the laws as cult-like behavior, but you got to understand that, again, it's actually a culture, But, people actually read the Bible for themselves, then actually see how a lot of people in these religions move. They would see, this is a culture, these are ways the Most High just wanted us to move to be in tune with our spirit, There wasn't, polygamy wasn't supposed to be, a real thing, which some people think is cult-like behavior, again, I think one of the biggest ways to distinguish whether something is cultish or kosher is the spirit behind it, and the positivity and what fruit it's bearing.
Right.
Rather than just a blinder, we're just doing this and we have no relationship with the Most High. So, we don't know for ourselves, like that. So, the only time Israel was like that was when it was coming out of Egypt, but they didn't really know who they were like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they needed leaders to teach them over time. My bad.
Because they were so used to the pagan worship in Egypt, and all the cult-like behavior there.
Child sacrifice that went on in Egypt, and a lot of crazy stuff. Yeah.
Well, that was a question, how does a person even find themselves so deep into one of these things? There's another documentary on Netflix. I told you that my documentary tour. It's called The Sins of Our Mother. And
I heard about it.
This one is it's still cult. It's a cult doc still, because her and her husband became a part of this end-days religious sect that maybe was like a version of 7 Day Adventist. And from that, it ended up being her murdering her children, saying that there were demons in them that needs to be released, and her leaving them or burying them and putting them in some kind of car and leaving it in this open field. And so it started off as I want to be a part of a belief system. And then it turned into this end of times chaos related fear tactic cult. And then so far into the demonic that she actually murdered her own children. And I just wonder how people ever even fall into any of that at all. How did you not see that this was evil?
There's something she had to have gone through in her life, you know what I mean? That brought her mind, some type of trauma she had to where she felt like she had nothing else but to cling to something so extreme. It's, it makes me think of when some of us come into the truth and we want to get so far away from Christianity or religion that now we're screaming hate at people on the side of the street. That's cult-like behavior, and the way some of these people worship their leaders is wild,
Worshiping the leader at all It's wild.
It's like, this is why in Kings or Samuel, the Most High is like, Israel doesn't need a king. They don't need a king. They're going to steer them down the wrong path and lead them away from me. That's one of the biggest differences between the culture of the Most High and cults, is that the Most High didn't want us to have some type of king or leader we really answered to like that in the first place.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, you had the priests, who actually communicated with the Most High and interceded. But this is why he sent the Son in the first place, so we all could have our individual relationship and not get caught up behind some cult-like, leader. Yeah. There was a tradition of even parents giving their child to a rabbi or teacher to be taught, the traditions would come up, and that rabbi would raise them up like that. But that is first of all, it's consistent between the parent and the rabbi. And they're learning things that have come down to their bloodline. You know what I mean? But we do know that there were some laws that the elders threw in their stuff that wasn't of the Most High. So the Messiah was literally preaching against the Talmud in a way when he came, trying to separate the traditions of the elders that became very cult-like from the righteous Torah of the Most High, and how to walk in that. So that's why you need the Ruach.
Yeah. So this goes into another thought. Now we know it's end times. We speak about end times. How would y'all feel about a congregation that you are a part of, that you firmly trust and believe, and you actually get very along well with the people of that congregation? If they have this idea to all get together and pool money and get land so that they can create a sustainable this and that, and all the kids will learn together and do church together, what would you say to that? If you trusted prior to this, you trusted the teachings, you trusted the congregation, and you enjoyed the people that were a part of it.
Bishop William, he's grilled this topic before.
Did he?
Man, I mean, honestly, I was a part of a group chat one time with people who were looking to move to Mexico. Look, man, I'm honestly all for leaving this land, but I'm going to have to pray long and hard. This is what the Most High wants for me. You know what I mean? The reason why the congregation I'm a part of now, I love and I see the difference from the religious institution I was a part of before, is that the teacher literally tells us to go and study ourselves. He really drills that home, for us to go and study for ourselves. And I don't think that he'd ever do that. Yeah. But if it was to come to be, I mean, honestly, I got my boy Pharrell, he's in our group chat. He's down at Waycross, and him and his, father are building like a Hebrew community, down there. A whole community, you know what I mean?
So
where homes. I would honestly be interested, because this is a nation. We're supposed to be operating as a nation of people. And so I wholeheartedly believe in that, and us knowing who we are. I do think it's a situation where you have to really vet the leader and hold him up to the stand. Is anything he teaching or his ways off from what the word is teaching? You know what I'm saying?
I think it'd be something I had to pray on. I think like it would have to be, like if our goal is to build up land, and assets, and kind of, seek to either leave this country or to be here and have our own area, which I don't think would really work, just because the government's into everything.
Just burn it down.
Own it with taxes.
I would be open to that. It would definitely have to be a community of, believers in the Messiah, and just like following God's word. We definitely have to
we'll also believe in Gentiles coming as well.
Yes. I don't think it would have to be a community that is not closed off. Basically, other people can join.
And you have the freedom to leave
alive. Yes.
Freedom to leave alive.
Yes. That's the most vital.
That's one of the biggest things. The Most High always gives a choice.
Yeah.
That's one of the biggest differences between the culture of the Most High and cults. Ahaya gives a choice, yo. He gives you a choice whether to love him or not. So you can leave if you want.
Yeah.
Cults are often like, oh, you're blood in, blood out, you know.
Or they'll be on some like, you can leave, but we're gonna keep your children.
Like masonry or skulls and
bones.
bones.
Yeah.
It's like, no.
For nothing.
Like, look, fraternities, sororities, skulls and bones, Freemasonry, these are cults. These are like, if you'll die, or you'll be shamed, you know, if you leave, you know.
I am somewhat opposed to that idea because I'm afraid of the whole cult thing. I mean, maybe because since I am interested in it, I would not like to live in a community with the same people that I go to church with and believe with, and the same people where my kids go to school with. It just seems too much. It's too intertwined.
Think of it in this scenario.
Like,
we see where the world is going, and we see how bad it's getting.
Scares
so
me. I would rather be in somewhat of isolation and be able to leave that isolation to attend church, or be able to leave that isolation to commune.
Okay,
so like where I live right now, like my neighbor, of course.
Well, it's not survival though.
It's not survival necessary, but like I have a neighbor who will call me now and again and be a bother, but not really. Like they do mind their business. They just mind. We don't all go to church together and all like.
The FEMA camp truck is knocking door to door, looking for people in the truth to bring to the camp to get to be re-educated or get guillotined. Like what I'm saying is we don't know how bad it's gonna get. So what I'm saying, it's going to get to a point of life and death where we'll have to operate how the disciples did back in the day. They operated in a way believers, they would share everything evenly and all this stuff.
But I would like to think in a more ideal situation, it'd be more so like me and my spouse, we move away to do ministry. And we find a comfortable place where we live, and we go and do the ministry, or we are part of a congregation, but we don't all live own our homes together and live together. It'd be like, we're going to see you guys again on Shabbat. Call me if you need me.
I don't think you understand the scenario I'm trying to give here. I'm talking about people that are going from door to door killing people. Like we can't live normal life no more. Because now it's life or death if you leave your home.
But if we're all in one place, we're more likely to be attacked. If we're secretly spread out.
Attack back, you know.
What do we think the wilderness?
If we're in different remote locations, it's not like they can just drop a bomb on us. It's like we'd have to go find these people, and they're all spread out.
All right.
If we're all in one place.
That's why this goes back to the second Exodus in the wilderness. We are supposed to be all gathered in the same central location at one point, while everybody else is going through their tribulation jump. So this will happen, this regathering of us. And from what I've read, it'll actually happen over the course of years where people will keep attaching themselves or seeking out. So that's going to happen. Like, you know what I mean? And so I'm talking about life is going to get to the point to where those prophecies are going to be fulfilled, and it's going to be life or death if you're not connected to a community of believers or the bartering system.
I would be connected the way that I'm connected now, though. Like, you and Elijah are not my neighbors.
Okay, so I'm saying like you're not gonna be able to live here. If we're talking about the most extreme example where the worst. That's what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm speaking about if it's getting there and we're preparing for it. I don't know if the preparation needs to be let's put our money together and go get this land, and it's not there yet. Like I think that I would rather do the same thing with my money, but with just me and my spouse, and we move to a place where we want to do ministry, and everyone around us is not all a part of the same belief. We're still mixed in with other people who have individual freedoms.
What about, you think about, you're in a community of not like-minded believers in these times where things are starting to look bad, like right now. What about, someone tells on you?
Yeah,
and they come find me because someone has said.
I still don't think you're getting the extremity. Like, I'm when I'm going off of Bible prophecy in my mind, what I'm saying is, if tribulation is supposed to come on the entire world, there will be nowhere for you to run or hide but to the community of believers.
That's how some cults have started, though. They've used that fear tactic to start some cults. They've been like, trust me, we need to go and do this, and we all need to live here and behave this way, and no one needs to have cell phones, no one needs to
I know that.
For this reason. They use that same fear tactic to build those communities.
And I agree. but there's still going to be a time where the actual prophecy comes to fulfillment. Like, these people have falsely prophesied that stuff, and people just believed it. I'm saying by the Ruach, he is going to bring us together as a nation again, the 1,000-year millennial reign. Like, we're not going to be all spread up across the world when this stuff happens. You can't be. When we're watching movies like I Am Legend, or the book, the I Am Legend, or the Book of Eli, what we're literally seeing is their depiction of what the world is going to look like outside of the 1,000-year millennial reign. So we will be in that central location. When the books of Isaiah, or I forgot one other book was talking about where nations will come to us, right, to worship the Most High and do Shabbat. We're going to be in a central location where the rest of the world is in shambles. So what I'm saying is there will be that point in time where we will all be in one location. And what I'm saying is ways that we start coming in and start acting as a community before that moment comes is going to have to be coupling up and surviving together as a community. So my thing is, that's why I'm talking about you got to pray about it and vet the leader, because people who try to be on their own or just their spouse, I don't think they're going to survive. I really don't think they're going to survive, because you're now disconnected from the body. And again, I think the main difference is, do you have the option to leave or no? Like, that's one of the major differences between the cult and the culture. So, yeah, we have had cults created out of this kind of same perspective.
Yeah, fear.
But the actual prophecy is still going to come true.
Well, since we don't know when that is, what I'm saying is that if the opportunity was presented to me in the current certain place, where even maybe...
My question was, say we're in that place.
I'm saying,
where the campus,
considering where things look like right now, if the opportunity came where there was a group of other believers and we all had a similar idea and we thought that we all trust one another and we have the same doctrine, I would opt out, because I do not want to be that intertwined with other people.
I would have.
And I would hope that I could still attend the Shabbat service and live up the street. I don't want to live in the neighborhood.
There's no Shabbat service. Shabbat service don't, because if you meet at the church, they're going to blow you up and kill you. Like, that's what I'm saying. We're going to get to that point where if you claim the Messiah, you are a dead person. If you are caught out in these streets, you might not be able to leave your home. Like, that's what I'm saying. I'm talking about that scenario. It's going to get that bad. You can't go to the grocery store if you don't have the digital currency. You got to pay with your palm. Like, the new world order. So then
what I'm saying is, in preparation for that, when you still can go to the grocery store and there's still a Shabbat service and there may be some inflation.
That's not my question.
I'm saying that while things are getting still good, I would not be quick to go and run to the hidden place yet.
I'm not saying quick. What I'm saying is, how are you going to discern and decide at that moment? Because I'm saying we most likely are the generation or our kids who are going to live for that point in that environment. You know what I'm saying? So I look at how the disciples operated and believers did in the New Testament, and that's how we are supposed to live as a community, bartering, being able to survive off of each other outside of the system and how they're operating.
Yeah.
But I would like to think I could still be connected without being in the gay neighborhood. Like, if there's like an ideal, like this place.
Everybody's gonna die outside of Messiah.
We're talking about in Brandon's scenario.
You're talking about, he's saying the most extreme. I'm saying
we're going to get to
almost
that.
as if like it is now, but like it's not there yet.
Okay, so like
it could be 5 years. What if in the next 5? That's what I'm talking about.
I think where you're coming from.
No, I'm saying, what if, I'm asking you, if that scenario comes in the next 5 to 10 to maybe 50, you're alive and it happens. How are you going to determine? We might live to see that prophecy, or our kids.
But if it's 80 years from now and we're just on edge, just period, and I'm recently married and me and my husband have
80 years.
I'm saying it could be out that long.
Wait,
if I'm recently married and
in 80 years? married?
No, I'm recently married now.
Oh, now,
soon.
okay.
And yeah, and the opportunity comes when we've like gotten rid of our debt, we got our money. I'm not gonna be quick to go want to put that in a pot with other people and their money and get some land. I'll be like, let's build our own thing.
But I think how I'm thinking is like I would be thinking about that. Like I would be thinking like, okay, like let me just start like thinking about where can I get land and saving bread for that, or like getting precious metals and like having a lot of food, and thinking about how I can sustain myself off the grid, which I think is how a lot of other people are thinking. And maybe we're not to the point to where it's like, all right, we actually have to execute this plan, but we're thinking, we're like, I mean, maybe my spouse and I, we're moving, we're thinking like that, but we're not ready to be in a community yet. Mm-hmm. But once the time does come when it's like, oh, they're really starting to persecute believers of the Messiah, they're really starting to force the alphabet community down our kids' throats, like they're really starting to like excommunicate believers, then it's like, well, I have no other choice. But my thinking is already ready for that,
Yeah, what I'm saying
is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is we won't be able to be connected to this system at some point, or you die.
I
It'll be very simple.
I just have a distrust for humanity. Even believers, like the idea of having to do that with other people, it scares me because it sounds like it could become.
It's so close to becoming a cult. You said the one term scare, which the Most High haven't given us a spirit of fear, and 2, trust. Again, like I think it's a situation where you have to become so in tune with the Ruach, outside of your flesh and logical thinking or fears, that the Ruach is able to confirm in you with this decision. You see what I mean? Because people in other countries are getting decapitated and beheaded for their faith. We don't understand that we got it good right now. You know what I mean?
Real good.
Like, so it's a thing where it's like you wanted to talk about ISIS and them killing believers. This was big back last year where they decapitated the whole church, young and old. You know what I'm saying? So how do you? But they were a bunch up in a community, right, helping each other. So and they might have not even lasted that long if they decided to just be out here on their own. So I'm saying it's going to get to a point, I believe, within our lifetime or our children's lifetime, right, where we're going to have to make that decision. And I'm saying, will you be able to get past those distrust and spirit of fear that you need to pray out, you know what I mean, to make that decision when it's time. Like, I get the whole thing with cults in the past, but I don't think we realize we are actually seeing specific prophecies come true that proves that we're close. So a decision might have to be made, right? So that's why I'm like,
I think I would have to use, I would be relying on the Ruach to reveal to me the best way to move forward, as well as observing the state of things at that time. But what I'm saying is, if the opportunity were presented and from what I can physically see, it's not making sense to move like that, I wouldn't be quick to do it. I would rather get my own first.
I mean, to be honest, I be thinking now, like, we might even realize, I mean, I'm waiting for a certain prophecy where it's like there's some type of calamity that's supposed to hit us, and it actually causes everybody to go back to their own land. That's actually prophesied in a word and other Israelite scrolls, which is very funny with this whole next pandemic they're predicting, right?
Cyber?
Cyber?
Is that the next pandemic? The cyber attacks?
No. It was some type of disease Bill Gates was talking about. So my thing is like, we really, based on Bible prophecy and actually things coming true that didn't come true when a lot of these other cults formed, right? Where other people in other countries have to live like that if they don't want to die and head roll across the ground, or be tortured to death. That can come to America, and it can be so much. People are leaving by the droves. Some are being successful with it, some aren't, right? sometimes I think, man, is it possible that's even too late, for some of us, to leave, and it's not a thing of, because tribulation will hit the entire world, but in order for us to not experience certain hardships, to live decent lives, you might have to make the extreme situation of moving to another country. You know what I mean? Like, if this digital currency system comes and they implement, chipping you in America first, but it's not in another country, are you willing to make that decision to leave to a country where you might have a little bit more time? You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
The way this stuff can play out, I think we got to be fluid, in our perspective and what we're willing to do.
I know it will require growing in the faith in general, because we spoke briefly about that, but like, I have been so used to practicing these Hebrewisms as an individual that I wasn't even willing to attend the Passover service, because I have been doing Passover at home with my family for the last few years.
And that's great.
And I was afraid to do it with another group of people because I didn't want to be sucked into anybody else's way of thinking, because I had a little bit of scorn from my experiences with Christianity.
Yeah.
So I was like, I would rather do this at home, where I just know that nobody's about to tell us how we need to do it and why.
Right.
Yeah.
So the idea of buying land with whole people when I wasn't even trying to have dinner with a group of people is like, no.
I mean, that's how I did it too for the last years. I was studying by myself, wasn't going to no congregations. This is literally the first year we've been in Truth. I've actually been congregating with people. And so it's a thing where it's like, I have that personal relationship, which, yes, we all should have that personal relationship where we're doing these things in our own life. We don't have to depend on a group to do them. But I'm just talking about when it comes into surviving, right? We're going to have to be able to discern, do I want to be with the IUIC or Sakari camp thing, or do I want to be around real believers and we're surviving together? We don't have the choice of going to the stores regular anymore. We don't have the choice of just of leaving our group or meeting for Shabbat, because there's patrols, there's drones now seeking out believers. Like that's where like kind of the rapture doctrine is so almost cold-minded, and cults have been come out of that too. It's dangerous because if people haven't prepared their mind for that, they might lose their entire faith. They might be a part of that great falling away because they was deceived to think they're gonna whisk away in the nick of time. So I think it's a thing where we have to really soberly think about, man, I might have to live through a time where
I'm eating rice and beans.
I can get a bullet in my head. I'll walk out with fringes on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I might have to survive with a group.
Yeah.
This is happening. This is actually happening in other countries.
Yeah.
I hear these things, and so it's something I must wrap my head around. This is why I wanted to talk about it, because I'm super interested in these cult docs. I'm so interested. I'm like, but this and that and why, and what made them choose this? Why do they want to live here with these people? Why are they dressing like this? And then when I think about the real things that are happening around me, I'm like, okay, so what would I do if it was me? And what if it was a trusted group and I actually trusted leadership, and then all of a sudden it became necessary for us to all live together? Would I freak out, or would I do it?
Yeah.
And right now I feel like I might freak out.
There's an agenda with the cult docs, I feel like, to also make the believers look crazy, because they don't actually separate in these docs what real faith is like and what cult-like behavior is like.
They make it all look bad.
They make it all look bad. So that agenda could be subconsciously pinging you a little bit. Personally, for me, the guys that I know, I trust Elijah. I trust Harold. I trust. You know what I'm saying? Much love, my guy. I trust. I trust Bishop. I'm still vetting. I'm still vetting. I'm still vetting.
Out there that I'm just like.
I'm still vetting.
If you were the leader of the community, I would not want to be in that.
Yeah, I'm still vetting the our Wednesday night. Who does? I don't want to say name. I'm still vetting him a little bit. You know what I mean?
Me too.
But the Ruach in me is confirmed. Certain people that are trustworthy, and I've learned personally.
Such as Bishop.
Personally, me, I'm Look, I haven't been through the trust issue stuff like everybody else. I feel like I've always had a level of discernment to see the signs of people. Look, just this week, my best friend, I had to tell him like, yo, you can't, stay at the crib. Like, I've had to learn what I can trust him with and what I can't, right? And so sometimes it's kind of a level of discernment into what you think of, saying, what can I trust certain people with? What can I trust them?
Right.
What can I trust them with? What I can't. So it's layers to the subject. I know it ain't simple, but
Yeah, it's not simple. Because, I think even on Wednesday night, some were having chats of pulling money and such, and the first thing I thought was, not I.
Well, what?
I was just gonna say, I think that believers of the Messiah and like actual like followers of God's word are probably gonna be labeled as a cult. Eventually, by the outside world, I think that we will be.
The outside Jews, they have BHI or Black Hebrew Israelites, which they would easily lump us. They would still lump us into that just because we know we're the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I don't think for me right now in this moment, I don't think like it's time for us. I think it's okay to talk about, but like actual like okay, as of December 1st, we are gonna start putting $50 each person towards buying X, Y, and Z. I don't think it's like. I just don't feel like it's time. We're there yet.
I think we need our own lives prepared in that way.
Yes, and our own like skills being brought to the community, our own perspectives, and also like I don't know, just a lot of things I feel need to happen. I think that there's, like you said, there's going to be a couple of events before I believe the tribulation period starts that are going to solidify. We need to
you
know what I mean? I believe that will happen, and we're not at the point to where we need to start like forming our cult, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But again, we are. But look, as believers, what are we? We are citizens of the kingdom of the Most High. The culture, we do have to look at ourselves as a nation of people that has our own law, that has our own way of living, that has our Elohim. Like we have to have that perspective that we are of the same nation, we're the same tribe, we are of the same incoming kingdom, incoming culture that's already inside of us, but it will physically come again as revelations in Book of Daniel and Enoch and so many other writings state like. So I really believe in starting to think like that and operate like that. There are churches that really operate like they should, and they use the money of the people like they should, and distribute and give food, to the community and the people of your church, right?
Yeah.
But there is going to be the day that comes where they're going to be knocking on doors, dragging you out of your house by the hair, piling you up in vans, take you to get decapitated. You know what I'm saying? Which that law is already established, by the way. That's another topic. It's already legal in the United States to decapitate somebody for professing the Messiah. I can show you this website and receipts right now. So it's like, it's in place. All you gotta do is execute.
I was voted by my friend group most likely to join a cult, and I resent that. I really resent that. Despite my attire today, that day I had like a whole head. That day I had a whole head wrap on, so it was like a game where everyone has to say most likely or whatever, and I was thought I had on the things I normally wear, which includes a head wrap, and they're like, Deja, and I'm like, no idea why we voted for such.
But that's the thing as a black community though. We're so far removed from being able to identify with a nation and a bloodline of people that to even say and recognize that we are part of something is cult-like behavior. No, how about this just identity that we lost and you still mentally enslaved and chained and don't know who you are and don't know your ancestors is, and you want to be Hotep and Egyptian just because it's cool. Like, you know what I'm saying, bro? Like, we just can't even fathom Like, hey, we were actually something before slavery.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And that's kind of the hardest thing with talking to black folk about this stuff, because they can't even imagine adhering to traditions that you lost because of European colonialism and Catholic missionaries.
Yeah.
Like,
they think they're gonna lose individual freedom to wear blonde wigs.
yeah, and what you've really done and adopted American capitalism, hedonism, and Roman and Greek principles that they stole from occultic-like behaviors of ancient Egypt and Babylon. So, what system have you assimilated into this do what thou wilt? Like, which lifestyle has the more consequences? You know, who has peace versus? So you're assimilating to a system either way you go.
Yeah.
Whether it's LGBTQP, which can be cult. Like, look at what they're pushing in school and in Target and in KFC. You're telling me that's not a cult? Yeah. Pentagrams and goats and giving 10-year-old girls assignments of ask your father about ejaculation and masturbation. Like, they're actually, that's not cult-like behavior. That's not grooming kids into something like
that they want them to become.
A lot of people don't even realize you just hopping on that wave because it was cool and you was an oddball in school, and now it's cool to be LGBTQ or whatever, and it's cool now, and nobody can say nothing about you because you already know that they'll get canceled if you do. Like,
there's also some people who I really believe were genuinely meant to be a non-sexual being. Like, they were created without that urge, and it was for a reason. And sometimes these individuals are very gifted in other areas, and so if you are a person who's born with that as an actual gift, and you're convinced that it really means all this other confusion, you would actually miss your calling.
Paul literally didn't marry. Like, he just wanted to do the will of the Most High. He's a perfect example of somebody, quote unquote, possibly asexual, or just was good with, keeping his urges at bay. Yeah. Like, so we gotta look at, like, well, what cult-like behavior are they actually putting in morals and values on people, especially kids? Like, so whether, and look, we love everybody no matter what lifestyle you choose, but if we're gonna really talk about cults, we gotta talk about the grooming that's happening in society. Not even giving kids who brain hasn't developed a choice to choose stuff. You got, like, at least the Most High gives you a choice.
Right.
Like, we're not supposed to be trying to convince people or choke people to believe, right? Hey, this is what we believe. Hey, this is what the truth is. Oh, you don't agree with it? All right, cool. Pray for you. Like, we not stuffing that down your throat, right? So, but what is the world doing with some of their morals and values?
Oh, for real. Just conform or get canceled or persecuted.
Yeah.
It's right, which is called, like,
I thought we all had a choice. It's hypocrisy.
Yeah, you guys really brought a good point, because so many people don't think of the flip side. Of the indoctrination that they've already been in, which is very culty. That was a good point. Yeah,
look, when you study the occult, you start to be able to see the cult-like behaviors and all the stuff. Gangs, politics, Democrat, Republican. These are cults, bruh. Those are cults. You know what I'm saying? Greek fraternities, sororities. He could speak to that. You know what I mean? Like, cults.
Cults. They're all cults.
You don't have a choice.
And they're all controlled by the same person. Say it. They all push the same agendas. These cults, whether it's the Democrats and Republicans, CNN, Fox News, Alphas, Qs, Kappas, AKAs, like Freemasons, Skull and Bones,
religions.
Religions is like
borderline cults.
Yeah, but the Jehovah's Witness thing is like, okay, again, why do we have to wear these outfits? Why do we all have to do the same kind of thing? Can't we just wear what we would normally? Like, can't we just have individuality in our appearance? If you can't have individuality in your appearance, which comes along with some of those divine 9 Greeks and stuff, and the things that they just have to wear. The idea as a grown
with
person
boundaries,
of
because there
standing
are
around,
boundaries.
with boundaries,
Yeah.
but the idea of like being a full-blown adult, just matching 5, 6, 7 other adults. Like I don't want to just sit around with the same outfit on and 7 women.
Yeah.
Oh Lord,
That's
have
weird.
mercy.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sorry, but that's weird.
Yeah, boundaries and the standards the Torah gave us are important, right?
But that's very
But
different.
we
It's
don't
like
have to,
modesty versus like no, literally wear this uniform. Like
Yeah,
of course everyone
that's
should have
different.
individuality. Like you should wear
Schools,
headband
code, private schools, codes. You gotta wear a uniform.
Yeah, just conforming thought. One thing I'll say, Pastor Omar, he had a great message on this. It was like praying like the master. I think he did it like a couple months ago. And he's talking about unity is not uniformity. We don't have to all dress the same. We all don't have all the same gifts, skills, and everything like that. But we are supposed to come in together with unity.
Mm-hmm.
For the greater good of the Most High's kingdom.
Yeah. Pause. Do we want to continue with the next 2 subjects or leave those? I know we're approaching 2 hours.
So I think we should just like hit on a short financial news and leave the flat earth for another time.
Sounds good.
Cool.
All right, back on it. Yeah, so I mean, yeah, man. Y'all got anything else on that topic?
That
I'm gonna keep watching Cult Docs. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, I just started this one about the Duggars.
But what I would just say, just be aware that there is still an agenda behind the code docs,
Yes.
and how they can make you still feel about other believers. I can see the difference between cult-like behavior in religious people and the freedom that the Messiah provides in the true body of Messiah.
Yes, that is something I do. And I can watch things for the messaging behind it. And I do see, even with what I'm watching, I do see where some things they're doing, I'm like, well, that's not so bad. I mean, I would like my kids to abstain and court and marry in that way. And they like to try and match them with, they get to choose, but they have a process for how they get their young people into the courting. I totally agree with that. So there are things where it's like, well, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not just watching it to be afraid. It's just super intriguing to me.
No, I get it.
yeah.
Sometimes you gotta meditate after that stuff, clear your mind.
Okay, Elijah, do you have some
Breathe.
financial news? for
Financial
us?
news, the debt ceiling has been big financial news. Real big politics. I mean, it's not like the Federal Reserve can't print more money. But, I guess we can pull up an article or something. Basically, they needed to come to an agreement on if they should raise the debt ceiling or, if they should just let there be a default. And they came to an agreement. And I guess we could just pull up like the figures, I guess, but
I just want to know what this means. What's going to happen? Like, is the price of eggs going to go up, or is like my 401k going to be worth nothing? Like, what does it mean to me?
I think everybody's
Am I not gonna be able to
401k is
afford
gonna be.
gas?
I think everybody's 401k is gonna be worth nothing in the end. To be honest,
Like, should I like? I don't know. I mean, what should I do now?
I think basically I'm trying to find a figure. Like if they are, let's say currently the budget was for $4 trillion. We'll just use some random numbers. $4 trillion. And like let's say they needed to cover all the government's bills, they needed to raise it up to $8 trillion or to $6 trillion. Which eventually they're going to have to because things gotta get paid for. And basically they're just gonna have to borrow more because of all these economic there's things that need to be paid for that are kind of unnecessary but are necessary. Like you think about like Social Security, you think about welfare, those types of things. Those are like for the well-being and also like maintenance around the country. Those things kind of are necessary. But then you got other things like military spending and these funding of wars. Those also go into the debt ceiling. But I think regardless, and we have inflation there too. The price of goods is going to rise, and they probably are going to stop talking about a recession because the economic definition of a recession is just like basically 2 or more quarters of decreased gross domestic product in a country's economy. And that may be the case here, coming quarter 3, quarter 4, but in my economic perspective, we're not out of a recession, and it's only going to get worse. It's basically, as they increase the debt ceiling, they're just kicking the can down the road. I do still think like eggs are still going to be expensive. I think it's going to get a lot worse because literally the Most High's word talks about a quart of barley, a quart of wheat, like costing a day's worth of wages. So eventually we're going to get to that. And we're just seeing like the United States dollar lose its purchasing power, not even only here, which is with inflation, but also around the world.
I've seen someone say they're strategically using the word recession to make people feel that we'll get over this.
It'll bounce back, yeah.
I think it might.
Because recession does mean like going down and going back up. You recede and you expand or whatever.
I think it's gonna be more of a depression, if I'm being honest. Like probably like the Great Depression.
So what is like from the book of Revelation, a quart of barley, a quart of wheat being a day's wage? In today's term, that would mean
there's two interpretations for that.
A loaf of bread would cost $250.
Some people interpret that as the Most High is literally going to, that's actually represents Israel being bought out of, like coming out of their captivity and coming to their own land. Some people look at that as an interpretation of inflation.
Extreme inflation.
Right.
Interesting.
What I know is that if they'd increase the debt ceiling, we'd see our dollar tank like crazy within like the next like couple of days to weeks, and it would literally have no value. Like we would experience that prophecy within the month. But if they, with them increasing the debt ceiling, we're just gonna still see that happen slowly,
Yeah.
And I mean, we still got bricks, to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
We see the digital currency thing. Like they have to let it crash. They're just not ready for it to yet.
Yeah.
Or the Most High is giving us more time.
It's like imagine how your life would change if genuinely a loaf of bread costs $200 or to fill your car up now, if you pay $50-$60, it costs like $300
You would
to fill
really,
your car. Your life would change. You would not go anywhere. You would be in extreme desperation survival mode.
I really do think our lives are going to change in our lifetime. Economically, like the price of goods is really going to go crazy, but I think that, like, think about it. Like, if it costs $250 to fill up your tank when it usually costs $50, so many less people are going to be driving, and you're basically going to see the elimination of the middle class, which I believe is really the elite's goal, is to just eliminate the middle class. And there was something I was going to say. It's just like,
it's just going to bring about those communities that we're talking about.
Yeah, because we're going to need to.
You barter, man.
I think AI is also going to play a really big role in eliminating the middle class.
They keep just talking about, when AI happens and all these jobs are eliminated, what are they going to do with just warm bodies and hungry minds?
Yeah.
Like,
it's going to be like people are just out here starving, trying to find a job. That's why I'm like, I need to get an actual skill, because I can see my job being replaced by AI. Even the side skills that I have, I'm like, it's still reliant on.
Yeah, ChatGPT could probably build this financial model that I've been working on.
Yeah.
In 2 seconds. Hopefully they don't do that.
AI don't have the same creativity though. I know that. They're still working on it and perfecting it, and they fixing the hands of the AI people and all that.
So they said they're just gonna employ us to work on the AI, basically. Like while you used to like crunch numbers, now you're just gonna work on a machine that crunches numbers.
AI, we can throw hands, bro.
We can throw hands, or we can throw water on you. But yeah, Kingdom OutKasts Podcast will not be taken over by AI.
We're not. You can't replace me.
Can't replace me.
Or these two lovely people.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
She's not going to leave you out of that. Can't replace us.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. We are ones of a kind.
Kingdom OutKasts Podcast.
If you're ever looking for us, just know we're somewhere hidden off in a shared community space where these guys are my neighbors, and I can't even water my grass without seeing them.
I know. I think I've come to the understanding of, when I really do become wealthy, what kind of gifts I'm gonna be giving out, and I got you guys' gifts.
I wholeheartedly believe that the Most High.
No, Negro. I can't like Rolex.
I wholeheartedly believe the Most High took me through some experiences this past year to prepare me for the community-like behavior we have to have. Because I feel you. I'm so independent. Look, I've let my bank account get in the negatives without asking people for help. Like, I was gonna move my entire house with a broken foot without asking friends for help. They had to tell me, we're helping you. You know what I mean?
That's great.
Like, that's how independent I am. Like I'm a man. I can do it myself. Like, you know, look, 5'6" personality, like I said. But the Most High took me through some situations with like cars and things like that that I had no choice but to depend on other people. And people that I had some issues with, you know what I mean, at the time. And so it's like, okay, I see the message you're trying to give me, you're humbling me. You know, all right, let me get around some actual, you know, believers, you know what I mean, that can build trust with.
Same.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna have to barter. We're gonna have to trade.
We're gonna need each other.
Gold, silver, store of value.
Well, good thing I've always been on some kind of sports team or just had a big family or just something. I've never been like totally alone in the world, you know. I've always had teammates, but maybe I have a little church hurt or something.
Aww.
Pray for
Your
your
healing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it. A lot of my churches rejected me coming into the truth.
I was never too much in the church.
To be hurt.
To be hurt. It's like, all right, I'm gonna see you Sunday. But I really have enjoyed like over this past last year and this year coming into the community that we have, and like just being around individuals who want to see me grow, and also like, you know, want to hear about my experiences, because I've always gravitated towards community, being on sports teams, and then, you know, joining a fraternity in college, and I realized that the foundation that we formed our relationships were not aligned with my eternal values, you know, the values that are going to get me to heaven. And I'm just so grateful for you guys that are starting this podcast, and really the churches that I've come to, and I'm so grateful I came down here to Atlanta. Sometimes, you know, the Most High has you in these seasons of like being apart and away from other people, and also like just going against the grain of what you thought that your life would be like, for a reason. And I'm realizing like the reason every day as to why I left Ohio, as to why I left the fraternity that I was in, as to why I left some relationships. Like, it's in the Most High is blessing me with even better relationships, and all the more understanding of what my purpose is. So
I think that's one of the biggest things is getting over the picture that you thought you had for your life.
Yeah.
Like, what I've learned is that when you're really tuning into the purpose the Most High has for you, is you have to allow fluidity in your mind. I don't know where the Most High is taking me.
Yeah.
I can't get set on this pretty picture and how I want my life and this and the pick fence. And, you know, I know a lot of our ladies, that's how y'all do, especially when it comes out you and your family. But when it comes to knowing the purpose of the Most High, like, we just don't know, and we gotta trust where He's gonna, you know, lead us to, man, because we just don't know sometimes. Unless He's giving you that vision and showing you the future, hey, more power to you. But most of us, you know, it's a thing we gotta feel where He's, you know, and know when He's speaking of where we're going, you know.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
And He's gonna regather at some point.
Yeah.
Well, guys, it's been a fun combo today.
It was.
I'm glad I got to hear y'all's opinions about cults and everything, so I can just apply the information. I think this conversation was mostly for me. I hope someone out there got, you know, something out of it, but
It's been passionate conversation today.
I'm like, you know, Brandon, I don't want to be your neighbor.
She's like, I see you enough every week.
Literally, 3 days in a week is plenty.
Oh
Don't
my
have neighbors
gosh,
too.
bruh, like,
We're gonna need you
keep
for your
going.
gardening.
you and my sister would be best friends, yo.
I'd love to be.
Huh?
I want a best friend named Deja.
She's what? She's 26, I
I'm
think.
27.
You know, y'all would be, wow, y'all.
Deja and Deja.
Yeah.
Just be Deja and it up.
DEJA, DAYJ, or DAY.
I genuinely would love to have a friend named Deja. You should introduce us.
The Dej loafs.
For real, man. Seriously. You know. Shout Shout out Deja, man. Can't wait to your wedding at the end of this month.
Congratulations, my new friend Deja. May God bless your union.
Yeah, most definitely, man.
Well, guys, shalom. Until next time.
Yes,
Shalom, peace.
Love y'all. And yeah, man.
Stay blessed.
We talked today. Be patient with us on this one.
Yes.
Deuces.
Peace.